finals of fall 2014. We are done for the moment anyway in Group A. Alex is back to wrap up Group A and talk about Group B, which we're going to move on to. We've said it's wrapped up, Alex, because 4 games done. We've still got 1 left, but that's going to be played tomorrow. So let's just bring the brackets up and have a look at how Group A has gone. And in the main, it's gone pretty much how we thought it would go, bar maybe 1 result.
Well, a huge 1 result, yeah, it's a big one. I don't know, I think no one was expecting to see Legionnaires, well, no one was expecting MHSV
Careful now.
to be as
They're sitting
poor.
they're sitting backstage, they're watching.
Yeah, oh, I know.
Careful what you say
spoke
right
to them
now.
both. I spoke to them both, actually. It was really interesting. I spoke to Legionnaires and I said, did you prep Lumphini Garden? Because that was a stomp. These guys, they came into it with a whole knowledge that we hadn't seen yet. It's a new map, and casting EU teams, they all played it quite similar to how MHSV did. Legionnaires turned up, played it completely differently, and they said, no, we've just been playing it for about a week, but they really played it for a week, and MHSV couldn't compete.
I like the fact, I'm going to give you some props now.
Yeah?
Hold on to your hat. You said in the very first game when they played, I wonder if they've got something sneaky about the fact that they could bring out maybe one of the new maps and maybe have a different strategy that we haven't seen before. And guess what? There it comes.
And there's 1 more to go as well.
Absolutely.
So Lumphini and Propaganda, obviously those new maps.
But MYM and Epsilon, we thought that might be the upper bracket final. Did you expect Epsilon to win in 2 maps?
I thought at least we were going to see a 3. Both me and Jason on the desk, we were saying this should be a 3-mapper. I was surprised at how poorly perhaps MIM approached it sometimes, but overall Epsilon just seemed to just sit down in those seats and I mean, they played really well.
They did play really well. We're going to move on to Group B now, and the bracket for that one looks like this. It does have 2 very big teams in it. Fnatic, of course, winners here in the summer, winners in the spring as well, and they were heavy favourites back in the very first ESL One Cup that we had at the start of the year, although they didn't quite make it there, but they've always been there or thereabouts. They're in a group with SK Gaming, who were formerly called GC. They've won 3 of the 4 cups that we've had. It's hard to look past them, but they didn't have it all their own way in qualifying either. So this isn't maybe as straightforward as we've seen. Plus, of course, we've got Planet Key Dynamics in there as well, who are always good when they come to ESL One finals.
You're absolutely spot on. It's really odd when it comes to PKD, they're constant. They're a consistent presence. However, when they turn up here, they're in an offline environment with their cool gaming shirts on, and they just seem to just bring it to a whole new level, and they're a real threat.
And they've got Safe now, who it's just like that wild card.
I know, and it's a cool wild card, I think. I mean, I know, for example, Outsider is the in-game leader, really good in-game leader, because that's a real strength of PKD. They have that strength of they all know what they're doing, and that's probably because of Outsider's presence. And Safe taking a back seat, it's interesting because it was working. It's really interesting, because Safe obviously is always a strong player, and taking away his voice, still a strong player. Yeah, absolutely. We might hear his vocals creep up, though, over the weekend, I'm sure, if they start winning. We're going to concentrate on our first game. It's a very interesting game for a number of reasons. We're going to see Fnatic, and we're going to see whether they are actually in bad shape. Now, I don't really... It's hard to imagine a Battlefield 4 match where Fnatic are called in bad shape, but generally, they've not shown the greatest form through the Cup season. So we know about their star players. We know what they can do. They are the defending double champions of ESL One. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Lack of prep. We saw how much prep can come into it with Legionnaires. I mean, 1 map prepared, they go on, they continue, they progress. And I mean, with Fnatic, I don't think there's been such an element of practice, but that was in the Cups. Those are in Cups that they probably knew they could breeze through to an extent. Now they've probably had about a week and a half where they've been like, oh, we've got 30,000 on the line, we should probably pull our socks up. And they probably have, and I would not be surprised if we see the Fnatic that we know and love here on the offline stage. It's funny with them, because we saw them in Season 1, they came in super prepared, super pumped up, and failed. Season 2, they didn't really prepare that well. They said they weren't practicing as well as they used to, and they came in and they stomped everyone. So I'm kind of worried for everyone else now, if that's the case. It could be a real threat. Fnatic have that potential to surprise when, I mean, they're very laid back, and that can be a real surprise to teams. They're like, oh, it's Fnatic, and they kind of lean forward and into their monitors, and Fnatic is sat there talking about what they're doing next Tuesday, and it works for them. It's the way that team plays. Okay. Their opponents today are another very interesting team. My favourite fact about this team is that they used to be called Elevate. Yes. And they beat InFamous in the final game of the Go4 to qualify for the finals. And now they're called InFamous. And they stole their organisation. It's fantastic. It's if someone
kind of mean, but it worked for them. So,
yeah,
you know,
if someone looked at the bracket and just saw InFamous proceed after
how
losing,
did they lose?
what's going on?
How did they get through?
Yeah.
But that's how it happened. So they are a newish team to this particular final.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them on the land before. What do you think of the team makeup, and what do you think of their season so far?
I actually really like this team. They're a team that you can never say they didn't work hard to be where they are. I mean, for example, not taking anything away from Epsilon, but every time they turn up, it's usually a 2-0 sweep unless they occasionally have a struggle. This team has every right to be here because they played the maximum amount of maps and halves that you had to play to get here. Like, if they could get it any closer, well, they couldn't. They could not get it any closer. It's fantastic that a team like this can be here, and then it all resets. This is all back, all those points that they built up and managed to get here, that's gone, and it's all down to how they perform up against Fnatic, and it's on this stage as well. Tricky
group, this one as well, isn't it? Because InFamous could be a banana skin for Fnatic, and PKD could be a banana skin in the other game for SK as well. So they've got to get this first match right with no mistakes in it, which I guess, does that put more pressure on Fnatic, do you think?
I think it does. I think Fnatic, they know where everyone's expecting them to finish, and that won't play on their minds. I mean, these guys have got the mindsets of steel, but what it will do is it will apply that extra bit of pressure. Fnatic do work well under pressure, so perhaps, if anything, it may actually improve their game.
Okay, prediction time now. Going to put you on the spot, although I don't think this is a particularly... You're getting off lightly today, because prediction-wise, I think this is relatively straightforward, is it not? I would love to see a 2-1 InFamous, because this is a team that can do well, probably going to be a contender for that second place spot if SK aren't on their game. So I'd probably say 2-1 in favour of Fnatic, with InFamous picking up a map, and that's spurring them on, hopefully. Okay, I'm glad you corrected, because you originally said 2-1 for InFamous. I was like 2 with 1 to InFamous. It made no sense. Yeah, all right, okay. Well, we'll let him off. Thank you. Oh, and the 88% as well. Yeah, 88%, yeah. So... good job you changed that one, Alex. I don't know where that came from. No, I don't know where it came from either, but thank you very much anyway. We're going to head over to the commentary desk now for coverage of our Group B game. It's the opening game of the group. It's a very big game for both teams. It's time to go over to Lauren and Jason.
A very big game indeed. Obviously, Fnatic going to be want to come out very strong here in the beginning. InFamous up against a very tough opponent, but a very unpracticed opponent in my mind. True. Obviously seen them play quite a few different games over the course of the season and not performing as well as it did last season, finishing first place in every single cup.
Yeah, Fnatic let it slip a little this season. I think I came in a little late to the season, obviously, and kind of caught up very quickly, because the last time I'd seen them, they were dominating everyone. Come in this season, like, yeah, they haven't really won much. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it went down. But I was speaking very briefly to Drunks before this one began, and he said, they stepped up the practice a little closer, 3 games at least a day, making sure they're really getting into it. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but let's throw our minds back sometime as well. InFamous used to be their kryptonite with that old FAMOS in hand, and we know the CZ's not far from it, so maybe there could be an upset here.
Ooh, well, it looks like we will most certainly have Propaganda in this best of 3. Not sure exactly where it will be, but it looks like Shanghai will be our first choice here out of InFamous.
Yeah, and I know Fnatic are comfortable on this one. That's the map they actually quite liked to play in the online phases as well, and there we go, we're going to get it second. So a nice choice, all in all. I think this is it's a Fnatic heavy map. Shanghai has to be there for InFamous. They used to be very strong on Locker when the FAMOS was in play. This is going back some time, so the likes of Tony and Kremer I'm basically referring to. Whereas Malcolm, Kreiser and Zam did pick up that style as well, so it's quite the irony that they come together and they're actually still a very similar lineup in that sort of format. So I think this is a Fnatic map pool, but there is potential for upsets if InFamous pick up the first. They need to take it to the third if they want a chance in this. If not, I think this would be a done deal. But I like seeing Propaganda second. We didn't see much of this InFamous, or we haven't seen it at all, this formation of the lineup on this map coming into it, Propaganda the second. But we have seen Fnatic, and they looked good. Yeah,
I mean, we saw them on the Dragon's Teeth launch cup that we had. Yeah. They played against like a Mutual Makers, Epsilon, kind of hybrid pug kind of thing, and they rocked them.
Yes. Strong team all in all. Theoretically, very strong as well. They do their homework, they do their tactics, and they come out pretty much solid. They have the individuals there that can support that sort of play style. I'm going to be looking once again at Valutaja as per usual for this one to step up well for his team. He's had some hit and miss performances in these offline stages before. The last season he was great. One prior to that, very quiet. So I'm wanting to see him do well in this. Obviously, Drunks, Too Easy, all very important factors. But mostly, Too Easy's a mental player. He needs to be in the right kind of mental state, as we all know. He's pretty vocal when it comes down to it. He's the the voice of the team sometimes. But if he remains calm, Fnatic get the job done, they look good, I think they're pretty solid to go further into this tournament. They, even Drunk said they're not too worried about this first game. It's the second one, if they meet SK, they're a little bit dubious of.
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to get harder. It's only going to get tougher for either of these teams as they do progress throughout today. Of course, we will have one team coming through the winner's bracket a little bit later on. And then, of course, our final matches, our final elimination match will happen tomorrow to determine our second team's getting through. And it should be, if I'm not mistaken, in the playoffs, first seed from Group A plays second seed of Group B, first seed from Group B plays second seed of Group A. So obviously, if you're now, on this side, you're like, do we want to dodge Epsilon? Or do we want to potentially dodge Meteor Makers if they're the team to win?
Yeah, it's a tough predicament to be in, isn't it? There's no easy routes here, let's put it that way. You could have argued that maybe MHSV had the easier route and then they got the upset of the Aussies actually turning up and being able to really play this game to a high level. So for me, in this sort of matchup, Fnatic have everything to lose and InFamous have everything to gain. They're the team arguably in the weaker side of this these groups, so they'll be down there with PKD. But then PKD's dangerous as well. You've got Safe in there now, and even he says, we're not performing as well as he'd like, but they're still doing good. They still boot camped. And to me, I think InFamous are a real wild card in this. If they're able to dominate the play and take it into their own style, which has been done against Fnatic, if you rustle them enough, you know what I mean? Their jimmies have to be everywhere. And then you might actually win. These guys, they can suffer from letting it get to them a little bit too much, and it's the first match as well. You want that to be as smooth as possible. You want that clean 2-0 pickup, bam, all right, guys, don't worry, we're here. Let's bear in mind, the last season, they barely dropped a map.
Well, that's very true. I think within the playoffs alone, they didn't drop a single one, even taking out the Australian team that was here last time, Vox Seminar. And then, of course, we should talk about InFamous a little bit. A little bit of a roster swap. They're not the original 5 that we had as Elevate anymore, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to actually play. I saw MHSV as well with a couple of roster swaps come into this one. It's not easy, with only 2 weeks to prepare, maybe it was even less than that, to get ready for coming up against the best teams in Europe. Fnatic, SK, all in this group to really kind of, knock you back out of this one. And I'm really worried for, honestly, any of these teams. I really could see any of these teams showing up at any given day and taking it home. Like, I don't think there's any clear-cut #1 victor. Actually, if anything, there will be a #1, most likely SKH from their recent performances, but #2 is honestly a toss-up between these 3 teams.
You can't decide. It was funny, as I was saying, discussing when Epsilon and MOM were playing earlier, Drunk says, they're both teams that occasionally have performance issues where they get to a point and then they'll just choke.
Well, they've been at the top for so long,
Yeah, exactly. So, there is the possibility of a little choke coming out from some of these teams if they're not 100% on point. And I think the thing is we've just got to take into account how Fnatic are actually playing as a team. Try to ignore their opponents to an extent because you can apply how they play as a team regardless of who they're up against. They keep a very similar style. And just see how they're playing overall because, as you said, questionable online performances. They haven't really been hitting the markers that they should be for a reigning championship team. Whereas InFamous, they've added Tony and Kremer, right? So let's kind of break down what that really means here. Tony and Kremer were arguably one of the better players coming out from the previous InFamous lineup. They used to be super aggressive, super good individually. So I don't think they'll struggle coming into this because let's be serious, if you don't know how to play the game, you know how to play the game. You don't need to be told that a million times, you know what I mean? And these two certainly can. So I think out of 2 additions to a new lineup, there's certainly going to be a good choice to be made.
Just wondering what...
Reflexes. Got to get that reflex training going.
A little bit of Osu in there, except that's some other game.
It's a similar format.
Yeah.
It's got that style too. You've got to get those reflexes going because this is the first time they're on that stage. They have been able to warm up in the warm-up area.
I'm actually wondering because they got here maybe an hour ago. Like during the last game kind of thing. So I'm not really sure if they've been warming up as much as they should have or needed to have. I mean, like you said, Drunk said they're not too worried about this first game, but not being worried about a team who can really upset you could catch you off guard.
Then again, you've got to keep that mentality of being a champion. I know it sounds really arrogant at times, but you have to be confident enough to go into this. Whether or not you start overlooking things you shouldn't is a very different matter. That's a very good point. That maybe they took it too lightly and that could be their downfall. But you've got to keep that mentality of, we are the better team here. We are the reigning champions. We shouldn't struggle in our first game. But then, as you said, if they don't warm up, if they don't get that prep done, if they don't feel comfortable in their settings, then it could be a factor. I know they have had a small warm-up. They've been sat down on the warm-up PCs. Just getting the settings right, getting everything feeling as comfortable as it can be. But I don't think they're a team that necessarily just depends on aim as well. They're a team of, gifted individuals, but as a better team.
And one thing you do also have to keep in mind is the fact that there's these GoPros strapped to their monitors now. I mean, yeah, we had Fnatic last season at Gamescom in front of a large crowd, so it's not like it's a big deal for them. But InFamous, not each of these members were there last season, and they're going to be kind of feeling a little bit of extra pressure from that one, knowing that we can see their every move.
Yeah,
could be something to keep in the back of their minds. And as you can see, just having a couple of...
Easy likes the camera, though, He's that kind of guy.
I still say Moore is probably the most handsome man on Fnatic.
Oh, but Valu's beard, that's an impressive beard,
Yeah, but that makes me feel less manly because I can't actually grow a beard like that.
And that's like a true manly Estonian beard, you know what I mean? It's like you just woke up this morning, you shaved yesterday, but...
That would be the worst,
to have
that happen.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. I'm pretty sure that's how it works with Estonians. Like, he just, he yawns and it just gets like 4, centimeters longer every time. It's crazy, but no.
So that's why he doesn't sleep often. It's on too long of a beard. But one thing we should keep in mind, Fnatic, again, reigning champions, not to hammer it home too much. Won the last 2 seasons. First season they performed as well as they wanted to, but then they had a roster swap come into the spring season. But they've been on top forever. And it's kind of like you get complacent. You get kind of bored while you're up there. You're not really forced to innovate anything new to really bring to the table to beat these teams. But now I feel like this could be their downfall. Well, I feel like we could actually see them not get through to the playoffs.
Yeah, I speak to these teams on a semi-regular basis, or at least I try and touch base with them as much as possible. And I know Fnatic's lost some motivation. That's the thing, and I think we can all agree that looking at their online performances. But then again, as you said, when you're at the top, you start kind of getting a little complacent with certain things, and maybe they felt, well, we know we're going to qualify through this, so let's just coast a little. And then it comes down to the event, they better be ready. And I know they've been doing their homework, so I think they might be, but it's a dangerous game to play. Yeah, you got to be confident in your performances, but then again, you've got to be ready for this because we've seen so many teams upset before.
It's true. I mean, not to be too harsh, but I don't think people expected Legionnaires to beat MHSV like that, and they just completely wrecked them on the Infinity Garden, and obviously we're going to fail to find out if that can happen yet again. You pointed out InFamous, they're a team that's really troubled Fnatic in the past, they're more particularly too easy. I wonder if they can maybe get in their heads a little bit this time, and make him play a little bit worse than he's typically used to.
Yeah.
But Siege Shanghai, I don't know. I mean, because we've seen some interesting things today on it. We've seen a lot of middle action, like middle street action that we've typically seen in the past, but we've also seen less long rotates around towards A5. It's more of like, let's just get in your face and cap something on you than go for like the smart strategic kind of play.
It certainly is. And just to give you guys a little bit of a kind of idea of the disparity between the 2 teams we're about to watch. So through the cup results and the group results, so Elevate, aka now InFamous with their previous lineup, they went 4 for 4. So 4 wins, 4 losses through the cups, mostly being halted by MYM, SK1's, Epsilon 1. So they got held back by some big teams, excuse me, and then they went into the Go 4 group stages, the last chance to qualify through, lost out to the previous InFamous in their first try, and then came through the lower bracket and beat them again. As Machine pointed out on that little desk with Red Eye earlier, they did take the longest route possible, but they're a gritty team. They're that team that can fight forward and just keep bringing that big game. Whereas on the other side, you look at the flip side of the coin, Fnatic had a 9-4 record through the cup results, and then a 2-0 in their group stages. So when it starts to really matter, they start to turn up more. The only losses they suffered really were to Epsilon and SK, who they already say are pretty much the teams that we know might do well in this. So they're in the right place. I just want to see if InFamous can bring something a little out of the box. That's the big thing for me, is they have to play an unorthodox style of some kind, push Fnatic out of their comfort zone, which they might be able to do. Taking into account the first map, which is Shanghai, if I'm not mistaken, it's a hard one to do that. Shanghai's not exactly the most easy one to bring that unorthodox style on. There's very few counterproductive holds, or not counterproductive, but it's that kind of unorthodox hold. I hate using that word all the time, but it's the best suited here. It's the fact that you can do it on things like Dawnbreaker, or maybe Zavod to an extent. But Shanghai, a little harder to do it on, and I feel that as much as InFamous need to win that first one, I don't see them doing it. I think that's Fnatic's map overall in performance alone. Propaganda, also Fnatic's. We saw them, one of the only teams that I've really witnessed through the groups in the cup stages, bringing that in, and they looked really good. They were super prepared. They had tactics. I know they've been prepping it. So I said earlier that if there was anyone to bring it in, it's probably going to be Fnatic as a comfort pick as well, because they know that other teams probably haven't practiced it as much. But yeah, I'm not sure if you agree with me, but I think the Shanghai is a hard one for InFamous to turn it on.
Well, we will find out shortly. We're going to head to a quick little break here, but when we come back, guys, we're going to be kicking off Fnatic versus InFamous to find out who the first team advancing through Group B into the winner's bracket will be. All right, guys, welcome back. Looks like we will be getting away here in just a few seconds on Siege of Shanghai, Fnatic versus InFamous. A little dance from Lauren. I'm going to try to... Is this close? That's close enough. You look better doing it anyways. But either way, we both kind of have our mindset, or at least our favorites of being Fnatic in this one. But InFamous obviously proven to be a team in the past that they can really be that kryptonite against Fnatic in terms of angering the beast that's too easy. We're going to find out if we're able to do it yet again here coming into this one. It's going to be a little bit tough. But Siege of Shanghai, I think you pointed out earlier, you said if InFamous won't have a chance to win this best of three, they need to pick up this map because Propaganda, the chances that they're going to be able to take Fnatic on that is a little bit too slim.
Yeah, pretty much. I just, to be fair, I could be completely surprised by this, and maybe InFamous have been doing their homework. But then you add into account, okay, they've added 2 new players. To be able to do a full strat on a map with 2 new players added in between the group qualification and now, that's certainly going to be a tough feat. So I don't know if that's a possibility for these guys for me. I think that's kind of stretching it, and I think Fnatic know that. So they just kind of screwed them on the map picks. Let's be honest here. You know, if you need to get a nice, easy 2-0 win, you're going to do it for the maps. So for me, as I said, it's going to be a 2-1 if InFamous win it, and it'll be the last two, oh sorry, the first one and the last map that they pick up. However, if Fnatic win, it's going to be a clean 2-0 win.
All right, well, we will find out here in just a few seconds. Looks like everyone has gotten back into the server. Yay. And we should be kicking this one off. Just want to make sure there's no problems on this one. Make sure you have a clean, good game. And that's actually something I was mentioning to Machine a little bit earlier on about Epsilon. You know, one thing that always throws Epsilon on tilt is when they have problems on LAN. And every single playoff that we've had, they've always had some crashes or something like that happen, or someone's computer acting up. But they look really strong today when no one was having problems and everything was going smoothly. Funny
enough, the guy on the screen right now, drunk, so I was talking to him about it. He's like, you know, the 2 teams that generally choke went up against each other, the MYM and Epsilon. The online kind of chokers, or offline chokers, should I say, that when it comes down to it, as you said, they really feel that kind of any external factors, they really take to heart. And of course, it takes, you know, a real strong mentality to not get that problem. But at the end of the day, they're meant to be champions. You remember the issues we had with Epsilon going into, you know, yeah, we all remember. we remember. If you guys watched, like you'll probably remember. Yeah. So basically, they had a lot of issues, and then they lost in a game they should have won in, and they just screwed their chance up to go to the finals. And I can imagine that's one thing they're making sure they do not do now is drop the ball early. They need to stay focused and calm as a team. Whereas these two, they got to be smart. InFamous need to know what they've got to achieve here. They've got to upset Fnatic early. Whereas Fnatic got to play it cool, calm, and collected.
All right, well, we'll find out here in just a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, Pansy, you got to hit the nail on the head a little bit early on in terms of how they're going to go about, you know, the kickoff with Epsilon game on this map. What do you think about this one for both these teams?
I think if InFamous want to pick this up, they got to go super aggressive from the very start. Just throw everything they got at Fnatic, push them off their game style. But I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll play it safe, which I don't think is going to be a real kind of good option. But still, Fnatic just going to play it standard. So I think so far we're going to see Fnatic on the Chinese side. The US side will indeed be InFamous, and we're going to see that head-to-head clash. Aggression coming out from InFamous that I like.
And we're kicking this one off with a bang here already. Junk just rushing straight through, picks up one. Can't secure that second fortune on Malcolm, but it will be too easy there to back him up to protect him, and I think revive him here in just a few seconds. But either way, Fnatic up to an early 2-1 hold. Picking up A, picking up B, but they have to be careful. There's a nice 2-man push, potentially 3 onto this A flag here. There's 2 men waiting for it.
Yeah, it's Fnatic nicely set up. Playing a little deep at A, that's a good position. And locking, and again, they just lost out on Mord, so B's under threat. They got 4 players moving in. This could be B pretty much swinging around.
And Krama picking up 2 quick kills right there. Does solidify their hold onto this B flag. And then almost get a full squad wipe out of Fnatic here. So a little bit of a interesting start here out of Fnatic. A little bit of a rocky start as well. But InFamous up to an early 2-1 now. And it looks like they're setting up just to hold this. They're not even trying to be too aggressive here.
That's what I like as well. They went aggressive enough to pick up B, but they've not overextended. Zam should just play this street. He might be a little vulnerable from the back here, as there is a player, maybe Valu. He used to play this position a lot, and it's still Valu Taja. So I'd be a little cautious here because you're going to get caught out from the backside. His position is vital to lock these guys down. They get the exchange, but that's not good enough. Fnatic can now start pushing that street and applying more pressure. And whether or not they actually want to hit B or just swing up and go C is down to them, and just to find the weakness hit.
Let's see what they do go for it. Getting all the revives back in. You can see Tony just going to be defending into that C flag, watching for anyone to push in from any sort of backside. You know what? Mord's already going for that long rotate around. He's looking for entrance into the C flag here, but there's going to actually be 1 man waiting to receive him. He doesn't know it just yet, but he's already been spotted out and shot at. And Mort, watch this little bit of a flank going to come in. Not going to be too successful, but Unfix picking up a nice shot on a Krema. Looking for number 2 as well. Once the man right on the backside of B here. The nade going to come in. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to connect here. Oh, no, it doesn't. It gets Zam. A nice throw coming in, and he does pick up 2 kills, and it looks like he might be able to pick up the cap. Looking for number 3. He will get it. Can he get the 4th? He's going to have Junks to come in from the backside to help out, and they will pick up that B flag.
And let's break down what he did then, because that was systematically perfect. He went up at the same time as Mort towards the western side of this map, pushed up, went around, didn't go in with Mort, and he went around to B, caught them off guard. Brilliant individual play, but he locked that out by himself, giving Fnatic the 2-1, and that should at least even up the tickets a touch. 127 to 113, a little shaky from Fnatic at the start, but hopefully going to smooth things out now.
It's not a bad little bit of a get-go to go for him to kind of get himself pumped up and ready to play here as Drunks picks up a nice kill on the Malcolm right there, and Mort unfortunately has yet to get a single one. But look at this, back swag comes in towards A. They're going to lose on that, but in the meantime they're capping C, and they have one man going along the long rotate yet again here, Valu. We've seen time and time again pick up so many frags in these kind of clutch situations. Gets number 1, looks for number 2, and it looks like he will be taken down in the meantime. But either way, he's able to pick up 1 kill and at least help solidify their hold onto that B flag.
Yeah, it's keeping the attention there, and InFamous now a little spread out. They got players in the south cut off by B, and that's why B is so important. You can just pick up those random couple of players coming in. Tony doesn't get the shot he needed.
Shots like that.
Yeah, and Unfixed is being a real pillar for Fnatic at the moment, and they're not even really leaving many players on C because they're locking down the road enough. Now they've spotted 2 players on the cross up. They really should pull Valutage back and maybe Drunks, or they go for the aggression on towards A. That's their jump-off point. That is why B is so vital.
Or Too Easy just picks up 2 easy kills right there, and it's going to lock down that A. I did not mean for that one to happen. Looking for number 3 potentially. Will be taken down here, so they won't get the cap on A just yet. They still have 1 man back towards C to defend. Valu trying to be a little bit of a turret here, trying to be a little bit of a juggernaut to hold them back. But they haven't spotted him out just yet. He's trying to bide his time, and just as soon as they mention it, they do notice him. He does get taken down, but they cap A. They win at the 1v1 there, and they're still maintaining this 2-1.
See, the one problem is that I actually like Valu playing this position here. It's a little more passive, but he likes, you know, he normally sits around here. And it stops players like this being able to fall back. I'm not sure why they've moved him to more of that back capper role. It may be because they feel Unfixed can play a little safer and play a little bit more passive. That could be the reason. And they're still holding a 2-1, let's bear in mind. But for me, I preferred him in that spot. It's a weakness on this map for Fnatic now, as generally you'll want to see that player there as much as possible. But in the end of the day, 3 players moving in. Unfixed is in trouble. He does get 1, but in the meantime, they've got that counter push off.
And he's forced 3 people to spawn back there to even go for the A cap here, and it's allowed Valu to push in with the help of Too Easy there and Drunks to solidify their hold onto the C flag. So nice little bit of play, and they get the early 2-1.
Yeah, and let's tune into the Fnatic side, see how it's going down with these boys.
1 A shop, 1 A shop. 1 paper, 5. I'm nading mid.
1 guy mid.
No one highway.
One down. One pass.
A is low. Mid or low. 4 HP.
He passed upper.
Back of B low.
He jumped on the flag, on C flag. I'll go and get him.
I have A. Back of B, the gapping B.
2.
3 on B.
Both down.
Nice, that's
3
on B. There was 3 on B. I'm gonna push young guys to B.
Get positions.
Cars, check cars.
Maybe 1 back of A, yeah.
1 more mid.
Stay alive, VC.
1 more mid.
2 guys back of B.
Zam
111
is
HP.
mid. Zam is mid.
There's pillars. There's 2 guys in the back of B.
They're pushing
They're
to A.
A. 3A.
One down. One more. Down.
1 paper, 1
Nice,
back of B.
that's
1 paper,
1
back
guy
of
mid.
B.
1 guy down.
Hectic calls there, considering a 50-ticket lead and a squad wipe. That's pretty, you know, up in the air. Fnatic are certainly pumped up for this.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the calls they're making, yeah, it's high energy, but they seem to be responding very well to that. And look at that, Tri-Cap coming in, 60-ticket lead now. And as long as they can hold on to this push, they're looking at a very significant lead come into the second half, which is something that Fnatic would definitely thrive on, considering there's been a lot of questions about whether or not they've been able to play as well as they did in the past. And I know Val, you can see in the car dealership looking for at least a man or two, just kind of give them a little bit of information, which is so damn important right now. And they will just hold them back. They haven't capped anything just yet. They've had this tri-cap for a good 30 seconds so far.
Just the presence of Too Easy and Valu there really slowed them down on towards C, but you've got to be careful. They might do a quick swing out towards B. 20 tickets left for InFamous. They better get their running shoes on and get towards these sites. Nice play from Kryze around the backside there, doing a little bit of damage, but I've got to say it, InFamous trying to play a standard game, not really suiting them. I prefer the run and gun style they kind of fashioned back in the day, but seeing them play a normal game setup just doesn't do it for me. And Unfixed playing more a Valu style spot here, a little further forward, locking down that street. That's what they needed. and it should help them extend this 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, the playstyle's not flashy or like ooh and ah, but you know, it's working for them. I mean, there's 97 tickets, and you might ask, oh, may that be a little bit different against Epsilon or Mutual Makers? But either way, they're making it work here so far. Maybe they're trying to save a couple of tricks coming up to this second half here. But either way, 97-4, the last push, it's pretty much going to be over here as the last ticket goes away here as Crema able to pick up a 1v1 towards the A5. But either way, Fnatic coming out with a 97 ticket lead here in this first half. A fantastic start. And honestly, you can't be happier than that.
Yeah, that's solid. Pretty much whenever we talk to teams and say it's above 80, they pretty much got the game there. Or at least they feel that. You know, an 80 is a real hard one to turn around because that's a extended 2-1 or a couple of, you know, a quick trip cap pretty much there. But individual performances, let's be serious, you know, more quiet, Value fairly quiet. But Drunks, 18-6, Too Easy 15-9. And there was only one person sitting even for InFamous, which was just Tony at 6-6. Everyone else is on negative. So just not winning out the 1v1s.
None of them have more than 10 kills.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's nice to go even, but at 6-6, when
that's
this
still
is
not great.
It's not, yeah, unfortunately. And you know, you point out Drunks 18-6 in that one.
Yeah.
Ridiculous scoreline of him, and a Mort and Valu who they finished even, but like 6-6, 4-4. Like that kind of shows that Fnatic was the one being aggressive. They were the ones really pushing the fights to make them happen, and InFamous were just there to receive. Yeah,
InFamous not bringing in anything different, and generally when I look at an underdog, they've got to bring out something that's going to surprise. As I said, I want to see that aggression, that's something a little bit more, because if you bring out the standardized, okay, we're going to play them at their own game style, you're probably going to lose out. Fnatic are very good at that sort of play. Whether it be just down to their players being solid, you know, you'll see the likes of Valu and more, you know, sitting pretty comfortable at the bottom. You know, they don't have to get big kills, but the plays they do, those 2 or 3 kills will probably lock them down a site for 20, 30 seconds, and that's massive in this game. So for me, they've got the perfect composition here. Fnatic, a 97 ticket lead on the half on the first map. That's a brilliant start for them. They need to keep that quick, get that done, and get the job out of there. You know what I mean? Just get it all locked out, finish this one off. Because as I said, this should be the threatening map to them.
It should be, but right now, I mean, Fnatic, they look pretty calm, pretty collected, ready to go. I mean, InFamous, yeah, I mean, they look kind of... Actually, I don't want to say calm. They look a little bit nervous. You know, Kreiser and Zem look a little bit worried what's happening right now, and Crema looks asleep for some reason. But you know,
tired, you know.
It is early for us. But either way, kicking off the second half here, Fnatic up 97 tickets here in the first one, and of course they do pick this one up here quickly. They will be going over to Propaganda as our second map. And here we go, kicking things off. Fancy, why don't you walk us through what we're seeing?
Well, I think InFamous, yeah, they're going to stack out on B. They're going to try and cut them off here. But look, Fnatic going for the aggression straight across the map. They're looking for the early challenge and pick up on A, and this could work out.
Wow, no one's even there to defend against us here, and Drunk's going to be able to push him, nade right in front of his face.
Ooh, what a pick on Tony.
If that was only a deagle, I would say that was a nice one dig, but either way, fantastic shot coming out of him. That does open up this A5. There's one man on the backside, though. Zam looking to defend, but he gets taken down from Too Easy from behind. And you know what? This A5's going to be picked up. They might lose out on C, though, because it's a one-on-one battle over there, but this A5's not done just yet here. InFamous has not given up on this flag. No,
Crema's moving back in, maybe looking for a retake on this. Nice work towards Too Easy, but to pick up the double, that's going to be hard work, but he's still getting the cap on, and there's only Drunks here to defend it. As good as he was in the first half, I don't think you're going to get that sort of play on the second. So at the moment, 135 to 147. Maybe InFamous off to a slightly better start, but that's the risk you take going aggressive on the US side. You can charge in, you can get good kills, but it also could go very wrong and put you down maybe 10, 20 tickets, which is what they're suffering at the moment. So they're going to go reset, play a little smoother, play a little calmer, and probably pick it up that way.
And considering what they have 97 tickets to work with, I think they can afford to like be down 10 tickets in the beginning, considering like a bold push, which if it works out, you pretty much just won the map right there. But either way, 125 tickets left for them, 141 for InFamous. They've actually been tri-cap here for a split second as C is going to be turned over. And you know what? Too Easy. He's not done pushing through. Just say spots out Crema, but Crema trying to get the better of him as he's forced to just retreat away, try to heal up. And you're seeing the first aid kit come out of him instead of the med pack actually because of those recent changes. But most of Fnatic has kind of stuck to the old guns. They've been sticking with the same med pack instead of switching things up.
Yeah, and they've fallen back to a very similar tactic. As I said, Valutaja likes this side, and I like him when he plays it there. And then you'll just have Too Easy pushing in aggressively. Probably have more playing the kind of more fixed role, just sitting there locking down the side. So they're playing what I expected. However, I'm not sure if they're going to expect this back presence from InFamous coming in from Zam that could turn over one of the sides. They picked up C as a kind of fullback, but I can imagine they'll re-push on towards A here.
Speaking of InFamous, let's actually take a listen in on their comms really quickly. I do have a little bit of time just to hear how the camp's going on their side.
One
Middle
on the door.
one.
One on the door. One on the B. One on B flag. Too easy. 2 on B flag. One down. One more. Nice. One door.
On the green one. And car shop.
I've got the C-spawn.
Oh,
Stay
car
alive
shop
on
one.
B.
On
Keep
the car.
keep it.
I don't know, well, you can hear a little bit of frustration in their voices, but still making a lot of calls where it does matter here, and they don't have that many tickets left to work with. But Zan picks up a nice 2-piece here. He will eventually be dropped by Too Easy, though. And I just feel like it's only a matter of time. Less than, well, pretty much only 10 tickets left to go here.
Yeah, it's down to their last push now. They have got the trip cap, though, which certainly is going to help the matter, but it feels as though it's come too late in this one. 97 ticket deficit is massive. As you said, 10 away. Fnatic already picking up on the A flag. A 1v3 challenge for Zam. That's a lost battle if I've ever seen it. And they allowed them to pick up C. I don't know where InFamous wanted to fight them to hold the 2-1, but they let every single front slip, and they're near on losing on the B flag as well. Malcolm goes down. Fnatic are just about everywhere, applying pressure after pressure, and I don't think that InFamous is going to come out of this one alive.
No, I don't think they will here. Tony just picked up his first kill about 10 seconds ago in the game, as he's now 1-7 here, and you can't really afford to go for that. But it's kind of like I think they realize, yeah, we're really far behind, but you know, let's just make a ballsy play. Let's just see if it can potentially work out for some kind of cheeky tri-cap. But unfortunately, it doesn't work out. And here we go. 1 ticket left to go, and that will be Fnatic picking up the first map. And there it is. That will be now going over to Propaganda here. Fnatic looking very strong. And I think if we had any questions in the back of our heads, whether or not they've been preparing, whether or not they've been practicing, or taking things too lightly, well, they just kind of got answered right there.
Yeah, a little bit of a sigh of relief coming out from the side of their boys, but still, nicely played. Smiles all around. Fnatic doing what they should have done. Maintaining over a 97 ticket lead on the half, picking it up on the second. That's the sort of play style that's going to put them in the right mentality going forward. I don't think InFamous challenged them in the right way at all. I think that's a little sloppy from them. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see maybe more aggression, more CZs, a bit of a play that would push Fnatic out of their comfort zone, but they didn't. They let Fnatic do what they want with them.
I can't let that happen. I mean, if Fnatic get any sort of control in a game, at least what we've seen in the past, they're just going to commit to it and take it and not give it ever back here. And honestly, going to Propaganda, this is what worries me. Obviously, it wasn't banned away or vetoed away because we wouldn't be playing it. But I wonder if InFamous are prepared for this. Because this, I mean, this could be Infinity Garden for them. Obviously, it's going to be really tough against Fnatic, who's shown probably the best results out of any team on it so far. But who knows? Maybe they've been practicing it so much that this is like their map, and they were just waiting for this second map to kick off.
I'd love to think that. I think it's very optimistic. You know, there's always a chance that maybe InFamous have done enough of their homework to really walk away with an advantage here. Obviously, it's very different to when you just standardly play. You know, you're playing public, you're just playing casual, you're having fun. That's an interesting look.
Yeah. He's like,
hello?
Admins.
Anyway, enough of that. I think for me, it's down to InFamous to push a little further. You know, Propaganda, brand new to the map pool, very different style. Complements the competitive style very well as well. Fnatic certainly took that on and said, all right, let's make this our map. If InFamous are going to challenge, they're going to have to do pretty damn well here.
It's like their new Operation Locker for them. Because that was the map that we always knew them to be good on back in the day before every other team was like, oh, we'll just veto it from them every time, and eventually they'll forget how to play it, which they kind of did a little bit. They weren't as strong as we've seen before, but it looks like we should be in live in just a little bit here, just trying to fix one little issue before we do kick this one off. And, you know, Propaganda, you know, what's your thoughts on this map here so far? I know you've said a lot of the pros have mentioned it's a really well-balanced map.
I love it. I love the setup. I like how it plays out. It's unique seeing B as the kind of back cap that you put on the pressure towards.
Yeah.
A and C don't quite complement each other either. So it's a really weird map to play sometimes, but it plays very nicely. So you'll see very far back respawns coming in from the top and the north by A, or very far down in the south by C. And then you see generally the battle over the railroad lines. I think that generally, for me personally, A and B complement slightly better as the destructible carriage almost, or, you know, the kind of propane tank in the railroad right down the middle of the map can be exploded, which generally you'll see the US team picking up an engineer to do so with. And then you can set up this lovely little kind of lockdown of the map, cutting it kind of from top left to bottom right. I think it works a little better as it's slightly in their favor. But, you know, that's just one team's perspective, just my perspective on it. I think a lot of people can change that depending on how it starts to play out overall. So I'm not sure if, you know, the Chinese side needs to focus on maybe switching the map up, going for a quick play on C to just get it in the pocket, and then moving up towards the A flag and just trying to turn it, you know, do a counterclockwise kind of push. I think that could probably work, but for me, it's a very different style map to what we're used to in Battlefield. It plays out a little different, and I don't think it's a bad different.
All right, well, looks like we haven't gotten the live on restart to kick off here, so we will be going on to propaganda now. And, you know, Fnatic, if you're a potential opponent of them, you know, SK watching them, maybe PKD just trying to eye out some things, I think this is definitely one of the maps that teams are going to need to take away from them here. And it looks like Fnatic will be on that US side. And in terms of sides, actually, who do you favor has, like, or who do you think has a favorable spawn?
I like the US side. I'll explain a little once we get into game and as to why. I think it's quite an important beginning, and I know Fnatic like to put 2 players there to lock out that mid-presence cross towards A from C. I think there's a lot to be done towards creating crossfires on this that we may not have seen just yet either. I think the Chinese side have a little bit of a tough time here, which will be InFamous. Guys at the bottom of the screen, and obviously Fnatic up at the top. So if there's going to be a team to turn it, InFamous has to do it now. I just don't think it's going to be an easy job.
All right, well, we'll be kicking this one off in about 15 seconds here. We're going to see Fnatic take it in a clean 2-0 sweep, which we've seen almost every single time here so far today, except the one game between Legionnaires and MHSV. But here we go. Fnatic up against InFamous. Remember, guys, you can still get your votes in over on our website, ESL-1./Battlefield4/Battlefield, sorry. And here we go. So let's see how this one's going to break off. We have 3 men. Fnatic working towards a flag, and that propane tank, like we were talking about before, being taken down right away.
Yeah, that's what I expected to see, and a little bit of the cover removed to counter the position. So nicely done there from Fnatic. You can see that they've worked out how they like to do it. Even the fence, down to that small detail being removed there. So the 2-to-1, I feel, should be picked up by them. However, you can see that the Chinese side of InFamous have put a lot of players out towards B, so they're ready to challenge this, but 2Easy's in their way.
He's already been able to pick up 1 kill. Look for the second one. He will lock that one down, and that will give him control of that B fight. Doesn't matter how many men you set at him, he's going to pick up the kills. And you know what? They're going to get a tri-cap on top of this as well. Fnatic definitely proved that they're the team that has practiced this map so many times. And this respawn towards the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's going to take a long journey from them, a long little bit of a marathon just to get back towards that B flag.
Yeah, Mort's watching the cross. They know roughly where they're coming from. I don't know how well they know the respawns just yet, but generally they'll put Value in this position, supported by one other, I'm not sure, and then set up a bit of a hold across. So they make this weird crossfire that's very hard to break, and as you can see, even the train slowing down that repush here. And well, Malcolm's got to be a little careful. He could have been taken down then, but InFamous stuck on the wrong side of the map. They're looking finally to cross, but it certainly takes its time.
Yeah, definitely here. And they're actually going to take away the position that Value was using a little bit earlier on, but they're trying to spot out, you know, towards this A flag. That building obviously going to provide a lot of cover here. And even then, when they do actually peek out, he's going to have 2 men looking right at him. This is going to be a little bit dangerous if he wants to go for it here. And it looks like Malcolm will eventually peek out here. Maybe just throw a nade down there just to maybe connect onto one person. But now he's spot out. Now he's taken down here. And well, it'll still be an A-C hold now for Fnatic.
Yeah, this is something we've not seen, but it works well when they're able to pincer them in down this railroad. If they send, you know, 2 players up here, maybe 2 back here, they have supported Drunks now. They can basically play it out even as long as they have long-range enough weapons. You're seeing a lot of angle grips, for example, to be able to shoot down the railroad as well as close range. So the ACWR does have great hip fire, which will allow them to try and deal with the likes of Tony, but they need to be careful. One player slipping through will force them to push out towards B, changing the dynamic of the map. So they're going to have to now switch from that A-C hold to maybe an A-B hold. But for now, they're holding the trip cap because, well, InFamous haven't been fast enough. They've been able to reinforce where they need to. This is terrible. InFamous need to be doing a lot more than this.
They definitely do, and we should take a look. Actually, oh no. Having a little bit of a problem on InFamous' side. Looks like 2 people have dropped out in this one, and even 1 man on the side of Fnatic. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that one, but hopefully they do reconnect as quick as they possibly can. And it looks like they're just continue to play here in the meantime. Oh, no, they're actually going to pop out a game. So I'm not sure what that was about, but it looks like we might have had a server crash.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes down, but we can kind of have a little discussion about that map until we obviously get the update. You can let me know how that goes, and I'll just waffle for a while, because I love seeing that. I like seeing that sort of stuff. It makes me very happy. Basically, what we saw then was the evolution of the map play from Fnatic. We only saw maybe 1 dimension of their original tactic on the first time we watched them. So basically, the A and B hold was their kind of strong point. But they've been able to actually turn that into a manageable triple cap, if not a fullback 2-to-1. So there's a lot of valuable options here.
All right, well, I mean, Fnatic, they had such a strong lead in that one. And that's going to be a little bit of a pain.
Yeah.
Coming into this again, realizing that they were so far ahead to kind of just lose out on that one. I mean, they lost a total of about 4 tickets from that one before they actually did have that happen. So, and yeah, it's going to hurt, but luckily for them, they're a team that have been in this position before. They're a team that's kind of, you know, understood how to keep their mental state, you know, calm and composed. But InFamous, though, I feel like they could be a little bit more on tilt.
I don't know. I don't think InFamous understood the entirety of Fnatic's plan there on that map alone. I don't think many people did. You know, we saw a very small percentage of what Fnatic can bring the first time we watched it. So any other team watching it as well would have been like, oh, that's it. That's what their game is. But I think InFamous need to learn fast. This might be a godsend of a break for them to kind of sit there and go, okay, what happened? We countered what they did before, but it doesn't seem to be working. They need to counter it again. They need to work it out some more because Fnatic just brought another element that I didn't even consider into this map, and those positions were perfect. InFamous were playing fine on the 1-to-1 level. They were certainly keeping up with Fnatic there, but it didn't matter. Fnatic were always hot on their heels on every other spot.
And that's I guess, the one downside about Propaganda is that it's such a big map that if you do lose on a tri-cap, like it's so
a long way back in.
It's a long journey, and not to mention like the railroad you pointed out. When you have to cross those tracks, you're vulnerable to so many different directions.
Even the map itself with the train going through.
Yeah, we can be hit by that if anything, and I think it just kind of proves that. I think this is one of those few maps I can see why you liked it so much. Is that the better team will win it 99% of the time.
Yeah, I found it very hard for someone to pull out a cheesy move on.
Yeah.
So, for example, you may be able to dominate within the A and C realms with, you know, the close range CZs or the FAMASes, whatever it was at the time. But now, you add in the dimension of that B site and how important it is to the complementary way it plays out. It's super difficult to lock out and super hard to cheese on. I like it as a way it's playing. I think that it'd be good to see, you know, a really high-level team on it as well against Fnatic to really push those strategies. But I'll be surprised to see any other team pick it against them.
You know, I want to see, which it kind of doesn't even work with their style, unfortunately. SK. They're really aggressive, but they like the close quarter combat maps. So this wouldn't really be something that kind of works out well for them. Or maybe Dignitas. Like if Dignitas were here, because like they've proven when they get dug into a flag, they're probably one of the strongest teams to maintain it when they're on the top of their game, and this could be very difficult to kind of do.
Too easy just having a snack.
Yeah. Actually, wondering
it's
where
like
he's
a
eating.
wagon wheel, but it's a sandwich.
It's like a brownie.
I think it's a sandwich on brown bread.
Oh, that does make more sense. I'm not in America anymore, I forgot. But anyways, guys, we're going to head a quick little break here, but when we come back, we'll be kicking off the second map, the first half of that one here between Fnatic and InFamous. So we'll be kicking off Fnatic versus InFamous on our second map. We will be doing a fresh restart of the map, so that was 146 tickets to 90 lead that we saw Fnatic have earlier on will be wiped clean, and they'll have a chance to do it yet again here. But InFamous aside, this is their chance to kind of get back in the mix of things, maybe for their sake, not let that kind of lead slip away yet again.
But InFamous are now... Ooh, InFamous are on the US side, the Chinese side of Fnatic. Maybe that's what they're changing up, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that changes anything here. But obviously, same players, same faces, same position to be in. Fnatic are still leading with that one map to the good with a stunning victory on Siege of Shanghai, the first map here. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what this kind of brings through. And your thoughts on this?
I think if Fnatic or any of the team or any bit of the team that we expect them to be, it'll be the same kind of scoreline coming into the second half. I mean, they showed so many promising things. Yeah, they're starting on the opposite side this time, but they should be able to have early control of C and B, and maybe be able to just go to a tri-cap yet again off the back of that. But either way, we're kicking this one off here, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you guys have Fnatic as the winning team here in your votes, and see if they can do it yet again here.
Yeah, so very different start for the US side, which is InFamous. They will be going for a little bit of a, I don't know, B-focused play, whereas Fnatic kind of taking their time, picking up C, and they obviously get the first start towards this site, so they could get the 2-1 very early on, but it looks like with Drunks in this sort of spot, he might be going for that play on towards A eventually.
It looks like he might be trying to make that one happen here, but we do have a 1v1 win over by Crema against Valo to open up that B5, but Unfixed already be there to protect against it, to defend any sort of cap happening here, but a little bit of a rocky start here. It seems like the US side is the most favorable side to start on, at least from what we've seen in these two halves now. Nice little kill comes in for Drunks, picks up the kill into Tony, does open up a potential push back onto that B flag.
Yeah, we'll see what they kind of do towards this. I don't know if there's anyone there ready to contest it. Actually, Zam did stick around, so could get caught out, and he does. So B and C being held in the Fnatic hands, and it looks like they are slowly but surely building in towards this A play. I'm not sure if they want to maintain on B, but they're keeping players in the area. Drunks does find one and looks for the double, and hell, he might just get it.
He's looking for it. He's even doing some crazy flick shots at there, but unfortunately not connecting onto any of the house. Takes him with him. He ends up going down from that one. And that will at least cost Fnatic another ticket here as they're down to 149. And losing 1 ticket so far in the first minute and 20 seconds of play here. InFamous seem to have broken through Crema, pushed up along inside the buildings, trying to attack that C flag here. But Fnatic, I mean, they could easily go for back cap on A if they want to. They have Unfix already pushed up that far that they could easily... Actually, they could cap it right now if they wanted to, but they're just picking up the kills left and right.
Yeah, the kills finally came in for InFamous, but my god, did it take some time. Fnatic might actually start losing some tickets in this situation, but hell, it did take a long road to get there. Value picking up the double as well, and you can see the assault on towards A has begun. 2 players from Fnatic heading over here now, going to pick this one up. Stop the Rot picking up a nice little 2-to-1 cap for them, and so far only 1 man left standing around by A, and Kryze is nowhere near the site, so it doesn't really matter if he's in that spot, but Tony in a position he can do some work in.
As long as he can land his shots here, which he's actually going to retreat away, back away, maybe hope for a couple of respawns to come back in, maybe hope for a cheeky shot right there, as you can see, over towards the train. But either way, just trying to watch a couple of different angles, trying to prevent them from pushing up here. But Fnatic have full control of the railroad, it seems. They have full control of B, full control of A here. And InFamous, they cannot be satisfied with just this 1 flag. They need to cap something else over. They're already down about 50 tickets to the 10 that Fnatic have lost out on.
Yeah, this has gone from bad to worse here. Too easy picking up the double is going to make it no easier. And this was the hold that we saw before. So Value in this spot, reclaims it from Too Easy, saying, get out of here, that's mine. And basically they lock down the A and B setup. Now, you may see a little bit of pressure coming in now because InFamous do have that northeast spawn coming through, so Kryzer can actually get down to position to catch all these guys out. Value takes a lot of fire, but they're holding on to this, and they might even get a trip cap. If Value can stop them getting B, that is going to be a trip cap coming in for Fnatic, and that's a lot of tickets in their pocket.
A lot. I mean, this is going to start bleeding away so damn quickly here, and they're even able to get a double lead compared to what InFamous do have. But the B cap will be picked up. InFamous finally able to turn that back. But again, now it's kind of in that AC hold that you were talking about before, where we had a little bit of a break. And it's going to be so hard to cross these tracks here, even with the train going right by. It might even be able to catch out on someone as everyone's trying to run to safety here. Either way, looking strong here. I just want to see someone ran over him.
Zam trying to avoid it as much as possible. No one, I think, suffering the fate of the train, but definitely could have done. They were stacking that out at the worst time possible. But 137-72, this is a really bad display for InFamous. They didn't have such an atrocious start on the previous map, but now this is kind of dire. They're being held back at B, so rather than being that trip cap brilliance, Fnatic are playing the game that we said could possibly happen, that 6 kind of like central line hold right down the middle. And Fnatic can just maintain this until maybe there's a random spawn up here or down here. InFamous are stuck out on that B flag, and there's not a great deal to do other than try and brute force your way through.
And keep in mind, I mean, Fnatic beat InFamous on Siege of Shanghai with a 97 ticket lead, and now they're looking at an even greater number than that here on Propaganda, which is their map choice, actually. InFamous, I mean, they need to do something a little bit differently. You pointed out a little bit earlier on, but the problem, it seems to me, it's going back to these standard, FPS 101s. If you can't win the 1v1 fight, you can't out-aim someone, then you're not going to have a hope to really win anything, as Unfix is at 8-0 right now, hasn't died. Just as I mentioned that he finally does fall down, but only with 9 kills under his belt. And Too Easy currently sitting at 7-5. A low kind of frag game here so far. The Fnatic are just walking over InFamous.
Yeah, they certainly are. This is worrying as well. This is the Fnatic that can actually really just undo even the bigger teams in this one. So, I fear that this could be over, and I kind of want to hear how it's going on the InFamous side of things. And let's have a little listen.
They have B now.
Two guys.
Already one score. More on B.
What? On the room, B room, one.
One on B down.
Two on C.
Nice.
They didn't cut B.
One on the school.
In front of the train. One school exam. One down on C.
One more.
One middle.
They sound a little disheartened, to say the least, and with only 20 tickets left, you kind of understand.
They're down by over 100 at this point, and I mean, their calls are coming far and few between because of how big this map is. It's so hard to track down someone, and a team with the better aim is going to make things so difficult here, but Fnatic losing out on a single, or on Drunks here, unfortunately has disconnected from the server. He needs to get back as quick as possible. Either way, Fnatic is holding on. They're going to lose control of C, it seems, but they still have 2 men there to defend against it. They'll be flanked from the backside here, and they will pick up the kills, and they will maintain this 2-1. So even losing out that 1 man, it seems like they will hold on to at least 120 ticket lead here.
Yeah, who needs drunks, eh? Finally, C has been fought over and won out in the end, and it looks like Value's on his way down to try and stop the rod, stop the recap, and here he comes around the side. He does get the tag and the frag towards Malcolm, and they want to close this out. If you start losing out at this point, you're in trouble, and they know that InFamous are going to get scrappy, but it's too little, too late, and 123 ticket lead to Fnatic.
Well, obviously going to the second half here in just a little bit, see how they're going to do. But again, like I said before, anything above 80, typically the teams will say that's pretty hard number to come back from.
Yep.
But now 123, going to be even tougher. I don't know if InFamous can do this. I mean, Drunks was even there for a decent portion of the end of that game.
Yeah. I don't know. That was right down to the wire. For the fact that InFamous tried to start bringing it back at the end then, but they just didn't turn up through that map. It looks like, you know, one team's done their homework and the other's, you know, about a season too late to it. So InFamous need to improve on this one. Otherwise, that's basically a comfort pick against them.
You can't really have that either. You can't really... I mean, obviously some teams you feel more favorable to certain maps, but because the map pool's still...
clean sweep like
yeah,
that, though.
definitely not. And obviously, you know, either of these teams, if they do lose out, doesn't matter. They won't be done just yet. They still is a double elimination tournament. And they will go up against the losers of SK and PKD after this. Either way, you want to be the team to, you know, pick up your first win. 2 wins to get through, 2 losses to get knocked out here, and you don't want to start off with a loss.
No, certainly not. So here's hoping that they can maybe do something, but then 123 tickets, that's huge to overcome.
I think that's one of the biggest leads we've seen so far, ever.
Yeah, definitely. At this sort of level,
we've had anything bigger.
I don't think so. Not for a long time. Probably Fnatic set the bar before, let's be honest.
Probably.
Considering the last finals, they were pretty much untouched to the grand finals. I don't think anyone's going to be able to turn it around.
That is a magnificent little bit of beard he's got going on for one day. But either way, coming into this second half here, I mean, I want to be, you know, completely blunt and honest and say I don't think InFamous can do it. But, you know, we've seen bigger comebacks. Like last season, you saw Meechmakers versus Identitas. It was Identitas had 1 ticket left, ended up picking up the victory from that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't see comebacks like that. But there's just a big but that I want to say. I don't know if InFamous have it in them right now. I mean, if any time, this is the best time to make it happen. And it could be a major upset coming into Operation Locker.
This is what I was saying. If InFamous were going to do it, it should have been on that first map. It didn't happen, and now they're going to be clutching at straws, and, well, they've only got about 30 of them to clutch at. So it's down to pretty much giving it everything they've got, or it's time to go to the lowest. All
right, here we go, kicking off the second half, the second map here. Fnatic is 1 half away from securing themselves a spot into the winner's bracket. And boom goes the Dynamite, as we do see the propane tank get destroyed right in the beginning. But Fnatic, we saw them on this this side earlier on, before we had a little bit of technical difficulties, and they were just stomping over InFamous. But look at B, it's actually not really even being contested just yet. There's no one really heading towards that at this point.
Yeah, I think InFamous are just, Fnatic are ignoring it because that should be an easy pickup for InFamous. But InFamous not getting it so soon will make Value kind of question its presence. Like, where are they? They should have had that 10 seconds ago, but they maybe took their time a little too long, and it's allowed Fnatic to focus in towards C. They're moving up on that western side, and InFamous need to be able to meet them in these sort of buildings and lock out the close range element. But Malcolm's in a bit of no man's land. He does peek around, but doesn't stop. Player moves in, he gets caught out. That is atrocious play. Unfixed just locks it down, and they get the 2-1. Hell, they're going to get the trip cap, and that could be game over.
This is their final push, almost, I want to say. InFamous going to be respawning back in, losing on quite a few tickets here. The train going to be coming through as well, blocking off any sort of movement from that east side to the west side. And Fnatic sitting on the tri-cap, at least, well, now picking up the tri-cap, sorry. The tickets are just bleeding away. Look at this, they have about 16 tickets left to work with.
Yeah, InFamous are down to nothing. They have to play the perfect game from now out. Fnatic on the verge of having probably one of the quickest games we've seen, winning a second half in basically 2 minutes. Look at that, they got the exchange. They didn't even get the pickup. InFamous are going to be furious. That was their one chance to turn it around, and it's just slipped.
And one chance to make something happen in this map. And you can see now with only 4 tickets left to go, with 2 people still left to respawn in, and just the time it takes to run across the map, that's going to be doing it here. Fnatic are going to pick up the victory, and definitely proving to everyone out there, definitely all the haters, of whether or not they've been practicing or whether or not people really complaining about their schedule, they have been able to perform well.
Yeah, a real clean performance from Fnatic there, just doing the job. They said that the next game was the tough one. This was the one they should have picked up cleanly, and they've done just that. Doing what was necessary, playing the smart game, playing it cool, calm, and collected. I'm surprised they allowed Propaganda to be brought out so early. I thought that might be an ace up the sleeve. But regardless, they get a very clean 2-0 win.
He left it in the hands of InFamous. And he's talking about, our team's doing their homework. And if any team was doing their homework against Fnatic, to take away Propaganda. Like, that's the map you need to deny away.
Yeah.
And maybe, unfortunately, they didn't have the opportunity because they want to take away something a little bit more painful for them to play on. But either way, again, Fnatic moving on. InFamous not out just yet. They still have a chance to qualify. They will be playing against the loser of SK and PKD, which will be coming up next. And honestly, that is going to be an exciting match.
Yeah, a lot to be said about those two teams as well. PKD, questionable changes coming into this, and there's no easy team in this one. I'd say InFamous are probably the weaker team that we just saw, but they still got fairly close on the first map. They pushed Fnatic on some occasions, but still, no easy games, I feel, today.
I mean, we had an 88% vote in favor of Fnatic to the 12% of InFamous, and there's 88% of the people out there were right. But in the meantime, we're heading over to Paul, who has an interview with, I believe, don't get me wrong, it's going to be Drunks.
It absolutely is Drunks, yes. Well done. Straightforward win for you guys. It's not often I say or don't say that to you when we were playing early group games, but there were some doubts coming into this tournament. People in the community saying Fnatic are done, they're finished, they haven't been playing very much, they don't know the new maps. I think you might have answered every question that people had in those two games. You won by 123 tickets on Propaganda, showed us exactly how to play the game, 91 on the first game. What do you say to those rumours that go around? Is this just talk about Fnatic is completely wrong, or what is it?
Well, it is true that we actually didn't win a single online cup. Go for our ESL One seasonal cups. We didn't win any of this. So, yeah, we didn't do that good online, but now we are pretty much ready, and we worked a lot past weeks. I guess we pulled out a good Propaganda. It's a new map. Not many teams had enough time to practice it, and it paid out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back to the early part of ESL One at the start of the year. Many teams looked at the way you guys played in particular because you were so strong on some of the maps that came out, and they were all new maps back then. Now we know them, we all know how to play them. So when you get a new map now, surely that's good news for you guys, gives you a small advantage.
Well, we tend to learn maps pretty fast and have good tactics on it pretty fast. So when we have just like 3 weeks to make something on a map, it's good for us, and it's probably not that good for other teams, I guess.
I mean, Propaganda, okay, so now people know. I mean, you've given away the secret in a way. You've like shown how good you are. That's going to get vetoed now. So what do you do now?
We just wanted to try Propaganda and see how it works. And it paid out, yeah.
Okay. And in terms of the other stuff that's been going on, I know you guys, you love this competition. You've won it twice already. I know you want to win it every time you come here. How difficult is it to win a third consecutive title? Not many teams get a chance to do the triple in any competition, in any game.
Well, it's very hard. Teams are very consistent. I know MYM and Epsilon are always surprising. The question I was asking myself is Epsilon going to be able to beat MYM, or MYM is going to be just on top? And we thought MYM would be very, very hard. So we can't really tell what team is the best. It's always a big surprise. But we know all teams are consistent, and that's why we are always taking it very serious.
Okay. You've got SK Gaming in your group. It's an old rivalry that goes back many years across so many different games. Are you looking forward to maybe playing them in the next game?
A lot.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Drunks. And Fnatic safely through their semi-final game. We'll see whether SK can make it an all-time classic matchup. Your winners bracket final a little bit later on. Their game is coming up next.